magical tools. Hello, Capricorn. Hello. Welcome back. Welcome back, Capricorn. Welcome back. So, the first deck that I'm going to be using for your reading this month, I'm going to pull an oracle card from the Flower Magic Oracle deck. I really love this deck. It reminds me of the aesthetics from the late 90s. Very near and dear to my heart. And we'll see. I'm trying to film this on a Saturday. Saturday night's alright with me, but the problem with that is that everybody's home and they all like to play loud music. So we'll see how much of these readings. As you can see, if I'm on Capricorn, I'm pretty close to the end, but we'll see if anybody starts blasting loud music. It's always embarrassing to get a copyright claim on your video because somebody 3 doors down is blasting music so loud that it can be heard clearly in your apartment. But enough about me, Capricorn. Enough about me. This reading is for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of May 2021. Can you believe it? Can you believe we're already up to May? That's almost halfway through the year. And I feel like the year hasn't even really begun. Oh, is this a jumper? Yeah, I think that's the one. Alright. So the card that I'm pulling for you, Capricorn, for the month of May 2021 is Petunia Change. Time has come to change your course, to back yourself a different horse. Don't fight now, embrace the new. A different outlook, a different view. Only look forward, don't look back. Changes will deliver what you lack. There is only one guarantee in life, and that is that things change. Very little, if nothing, stays the same. Changes are inevitable, whether they are small ones or big, hectic, throw your life upside down types. Either way, you will need to go along with them. Don't fight them. Even small changes have a habit of affecting any amount of other stuff. Like dominoes, one knocks into the other, and before you know it, the whole lot is falling down. Allow it to happen. You may want to keep a bit of control over things for your own sanity, but changes will plow forward whether you like it or not. I have found that going with the flow is usually the best policy. Once the changes have finished tipping life on its head and the dust has settled, life has changed for the better. Forced change is often the hardest to accept, but it also usually has the best outcome. I'm going to take this card and put it right over here by the lion, and maybe it will come up again later. On to part 2. So, for the Celtic Cross Tarot spread this month, for those of you who are fans of the illustrator of this deck, Matt Hughes. He does have a couple of other decks out this year. The Dreamscape Oracle deck has already been released and I believe is available for purchase right now. And then the Luna Tarot, which is it's kind of like a revamped version of the Ethereal Visions deck, with more ethnic diversity. So if that's a complaint you had about the Ethereal Visions deck, that will be out later this year. But I mean, it's just a really classic deck already. And I love using it, so I'm excited to use it this month. Capricorn, 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 Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's see what's going on with you for the month ahead. The month ahead. May 2021. Probably some change. That's all the information you really need, right? Lots of changes. Feels solid. That feels solid. Excuse me. So the current situation, past, present, future, goal or destiny, your perspective, an outsider's perspective, your hopes and fears, and the final outcome. There's stuff around off screen here. Pay no attention to the cards behind the curtain. Thank you, thank you. Alright, so to start out, I'm going to look at the past first, actually, and this flows a lot better when I start doing the 12 houses spread. So in the past, we have strength, and that card is showing up reversed. Strength is also Leo's card, so you could have had a Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising placement person in your life. The Strength card in the reverse, maybe there was a period of time in the past where you had to be very strong, and you do not anymore, or there was a period of time in the past where you showed a great deal of weakness. We'll have to keep going to find out more. The current state of affairs. We have the Ace of Cups in the reverse. So it's possible that you were trying to start a new relationship with somebody, and maybe it's not working out, or maybe you don't have any potential partners on the horizon at this time. It does look like somewhat like single person energy, and it is crossed by the 10 of Swords, which is an ending and a very too. I think this will tell us a lot about what's going on for you right now. Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. After April and May, I'm gonna be surprised if Capricorns still want to watch my channel. I'm kidding, of course, but it seems like you guys have been having kind of a rough period, and I do apologize for that. I hope that things get better soon. There's only one way for us to find out. Well, there's two ways. There's doing the tarot reading, and then there's just living to see it. So, and I mean, this reading is for entertainment purposes. It's not like I'm controlling your life, or everything I have to say here is true for everyone. There's no way that could be the case. But if somebody is resonating very strongly, like sometimes it can be difficult to read for anyone else at the same time. We have the Four of Wands coming out here for you, so I do think that you have things to celebrate. Four of Wands can be a wedding, but it can also be celebrations and parties. So there could be celebrations coming up for you, Capricorn, Capricorn, Capricorn. What about an outsider's perspective? From the outside looking in, people might see that you are moving somewhere else. So you might be planning a move, or you might have withdrawn from your normal social circles and engagements so that people see you withdrawing. Now, this would not be like the hermit withdrawing. This would be you going somewhere else. So maybe you are starting to go out and meet different people than who you've been hanging around with. Or you literally could be moving to a different place. The current situation. Now remember too that this is going to compose the Imam Silai of the 12 houses spread, and then these events down here in this position are going to kind of give us an idea of how the events up here in the midheaven begin to take shape. So this is the origin for your future. And we do have the Hermit card here reversed. So altogether, it looks like you are not withdrawing. It looks like you're going out and having a good time, but you might be going out and having a good time with new people, with new groups of people, going out and meeting people that you haven't hung out with before, which can be good. But I do see that there is possibly a lack of introspection here, and possibly a lack of self-awareness going on as the truth of the matter. Let's look at the future. So this is your hopes and fears, and it represents the environment in which the future will be taking place. We have the sun there, hoping for the best. And of course, it doesn't really need to be reversed, because it's going to be a crossing card for those conditions. Here in the future, we have temperance. So temperance is not just about balance and moderation. Temperance is also about the art that goes into balance and moderation, and has a lot to do with finesse. It has a lot to do with the tiny details that you put into your daily life to make it just that much better. Like, instead of just normal butter, I'm gonna buy Kerrygold when I go to the grocery store. Or, I don't want to eat prepackaged dumplings. I'm going to learn how to make my own dumplings. So there are a few things like that. I personally like to make my own seitan because when you get the prepackaged seitan from the store, a lot of times it's over-seasoned, and it isn't seasoned well. So when you make your own, you can really decide how it is going to taste. And those are just little examples. Maybe you decide to buy a bidet that goes on your toilet. Maybe you get like a fancy Japanese toilet. Or maybe you get a tufting gun and you make rugs for your whole house so that you can walk barefoot around your house and your feet don't get cold. There's all kinds of scenarios. But it seems like a very cultivated, you know, like how Martha Stewart would do it, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from this future situation. And maybe that there's really not that much of a focus on relationships for you right now, which is good. That can be very healthy. To not be focusing on how you are going to live with another person. Alright, Capricorn, so now we're going to look up here at the midheaven, and we see here the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is coming out in the reverse. This could be that as you get older, you get closer to the status quo, but it could also be that your destiny is to be an iconoclast. It's interesting, too, that we have this progression from the Hermit in the reverse to the Hierophant in the reverse. This definitely speaks to me of somebody who starts out as a solo practitioner and becomes involved with a magical organization and rises up through their ranks. So that's a possibility for some of you too. As far as why are these cards coming out in the reverse, it could have to do with left-hand path. But that's not necessarily the case for everyone. I have to say that the future so far looks a lot brighter than the current state of affairs, so maybe Capricorn won't be so mad at me after all. Let's look at the final outcome, and then we can do the 12 houses spread with the Lenormand cards. So we have coming out in the final outcome the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups in reverse can be somebody who is emotionally manipulative. It can also represent that you're no longer willing to do emotional labor in your relationships. Or bear the brunt of the emotional labor in relationships either. So, in these two positions up here, the Queen of Cups and the Hierophant both showing up in the reverse, it is possible that these two figures are showing up reversed because they are in the future. However, in the case of the Hierophant, because we are talking about the results of this Hermit card coming out in the reverse in the present situation, I'm more inclined to believe that the Hierophant is coming out here in the reverse because it is somebody who's going to be an iconoclast or somebody who is far outside outside of the norm of the status quo. Someone who has their own moral compass that is not guided by the magnetic poles of the earth, so to speak. Now, the Queen of Cups could be a potential romantic partner or partner in your future. Somebody who's a water sign, somebody who's very nurturing is a possibility. Especially because we did have romantic energies coming out in the reading, although it wasn't in a positive way. So those are possibilities. Let's get on to the Lenormand and see what else might be in store for you. And these are the Lenormand cards that I designed. There's a link to my Etsy down in the description if you're interested in purchasing them. It's a vaporwave theme deck and non-binary, so instead of man and woman, it has self and other. So you don't have to be bound by gender constructs. First house is yourself, and it has to do with beginnings. So we'll be putting it over here by the past position of strength, which is showing up reversed. And maybe that will tell us a little bit more. A little bit more about that situation. Here in the first house we have the scythe. So the scythe has to do with cutting something out of your life. So maybe you had to be strong in order to cut something out of your life. We also see that echoed in the current situation of the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords being a very final ending and very analogous to the energy of the scythe. The second house has to do with your finances and also stability in your life. Finances and stability. So we have that right by this Four of Wands, which, as you can see, this structure is called a ramada, and it's used to shade outdoor areas, and is good for like having a nice get-together underneath it. Sometimes they can be used as grape trellises and things, and you can grow like vine fruits and vegetables on them, as they're doing in this scene. But as far as stability is concerned, the Four of Wands is a completion and is considered stable. Is considered a stable card. So the card that we have coming out for your second house is the Book. There might be a lot of bookkeeping going on right now, or accounting, looking through your ledgers, looking through possibly doing your taxes, but possibly also just kind of getting all of your assets in order, getting your assets all consolidated. Which of my assets are my liquid assets? How much am I really worth? What is my net value? So that could be what's going on for you at this time, Capricorn, in the month of May. The next house is the third house. And the third house has to do with communication, can have to do with siblings. It can also have to do with your immediate surroundings. And neighbors, your neighborhood. Short distance travel also, and things related to short distance travel. So we have the self. And remember, we have that here with the Hermit in reverse. So it's possible that you are communicating with yourself at this time. Or that there could be a focus on the self as part of this ecosystem. So how do I fit into my community? How am I fitting into my family? There does seem to be some kind of introspection here, but with the Hermit card in the reverse, it seems like maybe it's not from a spiritual perspective, but more from a materialistic or mundane perspective. So that's possible too, that the Hermit card is just showing up reverse because it's not about higher spiritual matters. The fourth house is your home and family life. Home and family life. And the card that we get coming out in your home and family life is the Tower. This can be about control, but it can also be about an organization. An organization like the government or a corporation or a big church, like a big religious organization. So, as that regards your home and family life, it could be that you exercise a lot of control over your home, or that there's a lot of control exercised over your home. Like if you were living in federal housing projects, there might be different criteria. Another thing that it could mean is just that you live in a high-rise building. So either one of those could be the case. Could be the case. The fifth house has to do with creativity and romance, and also has to do with childhood. So it could be your childhood, it could be children who are in your life, children who are around you in your life. And that is over by the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords. So the fifth and sixth houses will have to do with this Six of Swords card also. We have the Coffin. So there could be an ending to something. Could be an ending to romance based on some of the other cards we're seeing here. You could have been ending a relationship. That's possible too. Especially if you're moving somewhere else. You could be ending a relationship because you're moving. The sixth house has to do with your health and also with daily routines. Health and daily routines. Oh, we have a couple popping out here. So, we have the dog and we have the fish, which is very good for health matters, actually. The fish wish is money, so you'll have money to take care of any health matters that come up. And the dog is loyalty, so it could be that you're very loyal to your daily routines, or that your body is very loyal to you. The 7th house has to do with partnerships. This is not just romantic partnerships, but business partnerships, and also can have to do with your interactions with other people, because it's in opposition to the 1st house of self. So over here in the 7th house, we're looking also at things like court cases, and also open enemies. Open enemies. Open enemies. I love that phrase. Like, I just unabashedly hate you, and we both know it. We have the clouds there, so there could be trouble in your partnerships coming up in the month of May. Or there could be trouble on the horizon with legal matters also. Now remember that we're getting into the realm of the future, where we have the Temperance card and the sun crossing it. So the 8th house has to do with other people's money and resources, and it also has to do with transitions. So it's in opposition here to the 2nd house, where we were looking at your finances and your stability. Your stability. And we have the sun flipped over. So lots of great energy as far as this change is concerned in your life. It looks like it will be a change for the better for you. The 9th house is your higher self and the things that you're doing to achieve your higher self. And remember, we were traveling all the way up from the Hermit to the Hierophant here. Hermit to the Hierophant, through the Ace of Cups reversed, and through that 10 of Swords situation. So there's definitely things going on here that are big changes for you, Capricorn, but I do see a lot of things changing for the better. And so the 9th house can encompass things like long distance travel, higher education, and your spirituality. We have the snake coming out here, and the snake has a lot to do with betrayal and treachery. Betrayal and treachery. So that might be a hallmark of achieving the higher self for you. Either you betraying yourself or others betraying you, and that leading you into self-discovery. The 10th house is your work life and your career. Work and career. And is in opposition to the home and family life, but because we had the Tower there, it does seem like your home situation could be tied up in your work life some way, possibly. You might be moving for work. That might be why you're moving. The 10th house, we have the Ring. So there could be a situation where you are signing a contract, going into a legal agreement for your job. And if we look here at these midheaven cards, you've got this legal agreement, but you also have the snake there. So I would be very careful when you sign any documents. Make sure you get a lawyer to look over it, because there is treachery afoot there. So the 11th house has to do with your social groups. It also has to do with iconoclasts, and has to do with iconoclasts, and has to do with novel ideas, brand new ideas that people have not thought of before. And in this house we have the star. So you could have a brand new idea that no one's ever thought of before, or this could be representative of you emerging as an iconoclast. An iconoclast being somebody who, even though they go against the social norms, is very well known and respected for what they do. And remember, that's in opposition to your 5th house, where we have this ending. And I don't know if that's the ending of your relationship with a child, or an ending with your relationship with your parents, or an ending of a romantic relationship. It could be an ending to a creative process also, which would definitely put you into iconoclastic territory. Remember too that this is up there by this Queen of Cups in the reverse, which could represent a new person coming into your life in the future. And finally, we're back around to the 12th house, which is endings, and also has to do with your psychic intuition. And we have coming out there the Mountain. So it looks like in order to reach an ending to this situation, to reach a good resolution, there are still some obstacles to overcome. And there might also be, with your own intuition and psychic insights, that you have obstacles that you have to overcome in order to use your gifts properly. Capricorn, thank you so much for joining me for your reading for May 2021. If you enjoyed it, please let me know down in the comments. It wasn't all bad. There's actually a lot of really good stuff coming for you in the future. I also have a link in the description box down below if you would like to submit questions anonymously or not, for me to answer on future Q&A videos. I set it up as a Google form so that you can fill it out and don't have to give a name if you don't want to. Capricorn, I hope you have an excellent evening, a wonderful week,